My darling listeners, make I tell you something. Some secrets come like sneaky rats in the dark, scratches softly behind cupboard, and if you no dey careful, you go think say na your mind dey play tricks on you. But me, Aunty Gistina, the moment I heard that secret, e didn't just scratch me, it sliced me clean open like freshly peeled yam. Make I set the scene well well. It was one hot Wednesday afternoon, the type of heat that makes you question your whole life. You start wondering if you offended God or if your village people finally succeeded. I was in the parlor, oh, not disturbing anybody. My baby had just fallen asleep after sucking my breast like he was preparing for weightlifting competition. I was tired, drenched in sweat, and fanning myself with a calendar from 2017. The one with Buhari's face on it, you remember? As I sat there struggling between sleep and survival, I heard laughter from the backyard. At first, I didn't even think anything of it. You know how men behave now, gathering to talk nonsense and argue about football they are not playing. I heard the laughter again, loud and careless, like goats that just found yam in a barn. Then I heard the voice, Femi's voice, my husband, the same man who once told me my skin blows like golden palm oil. My heart immediately jumped. I smiled to myself. Ah, Femi and his friends must be gisting something funny. But then the words that followed, my God, it was like someone poured hot oil inside my ears. My guy, I swear, since that woman born, e be like say dead goat dey stay for house. Ha! Dead goat. My people, my spirit almost left my body. E didn't stop there, oh no, e kept going. I no dey even fit sleep near her again. I dey use excuse say pikin dey cry make I shift go other room. The smell no be air, I swear. And they all laughed, laugh, clapping each other like say na award winning joke e just dropped. I froze. You see, there are moments when words don't just hit your ears, they enter your bone marrow and settle there. I sat there in that parlor, legs shaking, baby still asleep on my lap, and I was asking myself, is this how people run mad? Because I felt something snap in my brain. This was the man who once knelt under the mango tree in front of my father's compound and promised to love me forever. The same man who danced with me in the moonlight after we found out I was pregnant. The one who used to press my swallow feet and whisper that I was his queen. Now he was telling his friends that I smell like a dead goat. My darlings, I tell you, death is not only when somebody stops breathing. Sometimes you die while still alive. That day, a piece of me died. The happy, hopeful part of me shattered into pieces like a broken mirror thrown into the street. I wanted to run outside and scream. I wanted to ask him, Femi, is it me you are talking about like that? The same woman who risked her life to bring your child into this world. But I couldn't move. My body was frozen. My mind was racing. My throat was dry. The baby twitched on my lap, innocent, pure, unaware that the father who helped create her had just disgraced her mother in the most wicked, heartless way. I looked around that small parlor. The TV was off. The fan was spinning lazily. On the wall was our wedding photo, me in white, Femi grinning beside me. A photo that now mocked me, a memory turned into a lie. That moment, that was when I knew my story had changed. My people, let me take you back. Because before a tree falls, its roots must have started to weaken underground. Hmm. Before that shame that nearly swallowed me like fufu in hot egusi, there was sweetness, there was light, there was love. Ah, you see me. My name is Dami, only daughter of my wonderful parents, two people who were tougher than dried stockfish and just as valuable. I grew up in the very heart of Osho State, Nigeria, a town where the red earth paints your feet like tribal marks, where goats and chickens walk side by side with you like neighbors, and the smell of akara frying by the roadside will follow you home like a spirit husband. Our compound was a noisy place, but it was our noise. Children shouting, mothers scolding, radios blasting Yoruba music and gospel in the same breath. If you never lived in that kind of place, you have not truly lived in Africa. In that compound, I was known as the one with the dazzling smile. People said my smile could settle quarrels. Even old Baba Ola, the stubborn landlord, once said that seeing me was better than drinking palm wine, and I cherished that reputation like gold. I worked in our small village health clinic. The pay was nothing to write home about, but I loved helping people. Bandaging wounds, checking blood pressure, delivering babies. That was my favorite part. Helping new life enter this world felt like touching heaven with your own hands. Then one day, I moved to the city to study midwifery. That was where I met him, Femi. Oh Lord, this man. Tall like Iroko, chest broad like Sango's own, and eyes that melted my defenses like Lagos sun on cold pap. He didn't need to talk much, his presence spoke volumes. When he walked into the clinic that day, I told my friend Kemi, that one there, na my husband. She laughed. You, would you marry a fine boy like that? I said, watch me. And true, true, love struck faster than thunder. He began visiting often, bringing snacks, talking sweet. He said things like, you're not just beautiful, Dami, you're powerful. Me that had only known men who asked me to smile small, I was hearing power talk. My dear, before I knew it, I was doing gele like Mommy Gio every Sunday to impress him. Within months, our love became like a Nigerian movie, fast, intense, dramatic. He proposed under a mango tree. My people danced. My mother killed the chicken that day. We had a wedding that shook the street. I became Mrs. Femi Johnson. That was the beginning of what I thought was forever. But nobody told me that forever can turn into for a while. Nobody warned me that sweet words can become bitter stones. Nobody said that love can expire. My darlings, let me tell you, marriage is not just about rings and wedding gowns, it's about territory. And unfortunately for me, I entered marriage like a lamb walking into a lioness's den, with makeup still on my face and rice still in my hair. After the wedding, I moved into Femi's family house in Egba, not rented flat or family house. You know what that means now? No privacy, no secret. Every cough, every sneeze, somebody is watching. Upstairs lived his mother, Mama Femi, and two of his cousins, jobless James and lazy Lola, both fully grown adults, still asking for recharge cards. The day I arrived, Mama Femi eyed me from head to toe. She smiled, but that smile was tight, like one that held questions she hadn't asked yet. You're welcome, Dami, she said, adjusting her wrapper like she was tying war strategies around her waist. I hope you know how to cook bitter leaf soup without making it bitter. I smiled. Yes, ma, I can cook. She nodded and replied, we shall see. Na that day, I knew marriage is not romance, it's a survival game show. I cleaned, cooked, washed, and endured. I would sweep the compound before sunrise while the cousins snored like motor engines. I would enter the kitchen only to find my pot shifted and the meat counted. If I used 3 cubes of Maggi, Mama Femi would ask me, are you the one funding the market? I became a guest in my own marriage. Femi, he tried in the beginning. He'd hug me in the night, rub my back, kiss my forehead, but the moment his mother complained, he folded like weak Dodo. Just try and understand her, he would whisper. She means well. Means well? If well meanings could kill, I'd have been buried beside my ancestors by now. But I endured. I wore wrapper of patience and tied scarf of silence, because we are taught as African women that respect is heavier than gold, even when it's choking us. My people, let me confess, the day I saw two red lines on that test strip, I danced like David danced. Pregnancy. After all the prayers, all the pap, all the ogbono soup with goat intestine, I was pregnant. I ran to Femi shouting, Baby, you are going to be parents. He lifted me and spun me around. I still remember that day clearly. He brought home yam and suya, and I cooked bitter leaf soup that even angels would lick their fingers for. We danced to our little radio, his hands on my waist, mine on his neck. That night, he whispered, You will be the best mother. And me, I believed him. Pregnancy, however, was not the fairy tale I expected. My legs swollen like inflated balloons, my skin dark patches like old plantain, my nose wide like someone preparing to smell village gossip. I vomited every morning, couldn't eat rice, couldn't bear perfume. My breast grew three sizes. I was a walking hormone machine, but I bore it with joy because I thought the reward would be love, respect, appreciation. Nobody told me motherhood would come with insults hidden behind silence. The day of delivery, my dear, forget Nollywood. It was warfare. I labored for almost 2 days. 2 long days of screaming, praying, crying, panting like a dog chasing bone. The pain, my God, I felt like something was dragging my intestines with barbed wire. My mother was there, pouring anointing oil and shouting, Oluwa o, Oluwa o. The nurses were shouting, push, push, as if my body was a trailer. At one point, I screamed, Take the baby, just take her and leave me. But finally, by the mercy of God and ancestors, she came, my baby girl, Awelewa, my mirror, my second chance. Her cry was soft like the chip of a baby bird, and in that moment, all the pain vanished. I had done it, I had brought life into the world. But what I didn't know was that life would soon feel like death. Ah, postpartum. That one deserves national recognition. You see, giving birth is not the end of suffering, it's the beginning of another dimension. I bled like they were draining me. My breasts were leaking like cracked sachet water. At night, I would sweat like moi moi inside the steaming pot. My breath metallic, my armpits sour. Even a Dettol and salt bath could not save me, and no matter how I scrubbed, the smell remained. I would bathe 5 times a day, soak my wrapper in perfume. I wore deodorant that burned my armpits, yet nothing changed. But still, I told myself it's just for a while. He loves me, he will understand. Lie. You remember this part already, but let me say it again because some wounds must be reopened before they heal. It was hot Wednesday afternoon. I sat, baby on my lap, fanning myself when I heard the laughter, heard Femi, heard him say I smell like a dead goat. My people, I broke. I didn't scream. I didn't faint. I just froze, like someone paused me. My eyes were open, but my soul was crawling away, begging for peace. That night, I cried in the bathroom, part soaked in blood in one hand, shame heavy on my chest, and still I said nothing. After that day, I began to shrink, not physically, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I stopped going outside, avoided mirrors, smiled only for the baby. Femi, he moved on like nothing happened. Same man who used to hold me now avoided me like I was contagious. And when I confronted him gently, he waved it off. You they overthink. His mother, she joined the choir of blame. A man doesn't just change, she said. Maybe you are not taking care of yourself. I was dying inside, rocking my child at night while crying silent tears. The rejection is seeped into my bone. One night, as I rocked my baby to sleep, I began to tell her stories, not of pain but of power. I told her of Queen Amina of Zaria, who led men into battle, of Ya Asantewa, the woman warrior of Ghana, of Wanyeruwa, who stood against British taxation. I told those stories to her, but really, I was speaking to myself, trying to remember who I used to be before shame wrapped me in its blanket. Something in me stirred that night. It was small, quiet, but it was there. The final blow came one morning. I tried to join Femi at the table, and he shifted, saying, Go and brush again, you dey smell. He didn't look at me, didn't blink. That was the moment I broke free. I called my aunt in Ede. She owns a fabric shop and has hands that heal with just a touch. I told her everything. She said, Dami, come home, bring your baby. Let us take care of you. That night, I packed one Ghana must go, wrapped my baby, left no note, just silence. Ede welcomed me like warm bread. My aunt, she bathed me in herbs, cooked ogbono soup that resurrected my strength, massaged my waist with shea butter and prayers. She looked me in the eye and said, You are not dirty, you are divine. I cried. Day by day, I healed. I joined a group of mothers, women who had been through fire but came out gold. We laughed, cried, and shared secrets. And Femi, well, no words from him or his mother. I guess he moved on already. So sad. In Ede, with nothing but my pain and my baby's giggle, I began to rebuild myself. My aunt didn't just feed me herbs and kind words. She opened a shop and taught me the fabric business. Every day, I followed her to the market, wrapped my child on my back, and learned the art of trade. I learned to price, to sell, to smile, even when tired. Slowly, I started saving 200 today, 1,000 tomorrow. Before long, I was buying my own small stock with my aunt's support. I started my own little table in the market, and from there, customers grew, word spread. My Ankara combos, always clean, always on point. One customer would bring another. Go to Dami, she go give you correct matching lace, they'd say. I opened an Instagram page. I called it Awelewa Fabrics after my daughter. Others began to come in from Lagos, Abuja, even Ghana. By the end of 1 year, my skin had returned to its brightness. My laughter had become louder. My walk was no longer shaky. It was steady like a queen who knew her worth. I bought a small second-hand car. I rented a two-bedroom flat for me and my child. I sent money to my parents monthly. I even started giving at church again. For the first time in a long while, I looked in the mirror and smiled without doubt. My baby turned one and I threw a small but beautiful party in our compound. The cake read, To the child that reminded me I am strong. Photos from the party made it to Instagram, and one day, just like that, a DM popped up. Dami, it's Femi. It had been almost 2 years since I left, and he remembered me because of an Instagram post. He looked older in the profile picture, paler, weaker. The Femi I once knew, bold and arrogant, was gone. This one sounded small. Please, can I talk to you? I ignored him because he wouldn't have messaged me if he didn't see how well I was doing, but he didn't stop. He began to call my aunt. He sent messages through mutual friends. He even tried to reach my parents. One day I finally picked the call. Femi, I said calm. He was silent for a second, maybe surprised I didn't shout. Then his voice cracked. Dami, please. I've made a terrible mistake. I was young, foolish, lonely. I've missed you and Awelewa every day. Mama Femi has been sick and the house is so empty without you. I let the silence press into his chest like hot iron. I finally agreed to meet him after a series of begging, not because I wanted closure, but because I wanted him to see. We met at a small cafe in Osogbo. I arrived wearing a fitted white dress, makeup soft but glowing, my afro packed high like a crown. I walked in with my daughter holding my hand. He stood up shocked. Dami, you look different. I smiled. No, Femi, I look exactly the way I'm supposed to. He tried to talk, stammered and begged. He said he was depressed, that his friends don't come around anymore, that no woman had his peace, that he couldn't even sleep properly. You remember the mango tree? I asked. He looked confused. That day you told your friends I smell like dead goat. That laughter. I hear it sometimes when I close my eyes, but it doesn't break me anymore. He bowed his head in shame and embarrassment, regret hitting him deep. I want my family back, he whispered. I leaned in and whispered back. The family you lost when you opened your mouth and buried it under shame. I stood up, adjusted my bag, and walked away. Since then, he keeps trying. He sends birthday gifts, texts me a long apology, even asked me to come back to our house. But me, I've built something new. My daughter is thriving. I run my own fashion house now. I help other women build businesses. I speak at events. I tell my story, not with shame, but with power. As for Femi, I heard he drinks more than he sleeps, that he spends evening sitting alone under that same mango tree, hoping I will come back, but I won't. Because I finally learned a woman who has found her worth does not return to the hands that broke her. Let his laughter haunt him. Let his loneliness rub him like the insults he threw at me. As for me and my child, we smell of success. So, my dear listeners, never let anybody, not even husband, reduce your worth because of what your body endures for life. Motherhood is not a shameful odor, it is the perfume of survivor. Till next time, is your sweet Aunty Gistina, the gossip queen, with gist hotter than fresh pepper, saying, if they can't love you at your smelliest, they don't deserve you at your finest. Stay bold, stay beautiful, and always remember, you smell like hope.